So this session is called Now What, which is going to focus on how to help you focus and how to rapidly learn to deliver great results. So my details there, more for those of you that may want to be in touch after the event. As I said, I'm a project manager at Scottish Enterprise. There's my LinkedIn connection, and I'm not that active on Twitter any longer. While talking about social media, I'm sure some of you have been very busy today, possibly too busy to be able to post anything, but it would be great if we could see some of these things, Codeless, Virtual Hackathon, the OGTC. So I mentioned that I'm an agitator. By definition, to agitate, make someone troubled or nervous. To stir or disturb. If you agitate something, you shake it so that it moves. Not the most useful of definitions when it comes to working with technology companies and founders, so I modify them slightly. So for me, to agitate is to think or act differently, beyond your comfort zone. To do that, challenge assumptions and thinking in order to think and act differently. And I want to encourage you to move with your own free will, not because I have a stick beating you and telling you you must do this, but instead showing you some things and hopefully you may choose to do them yourself. All of this will be available afterwards, and in the slide deck there'll be some slightly more detailed notes that will put you to some other connections and links to make it more exciting. So back to Now What. So this afternoon, over the next 10 minutes, I'm going to share 3 quick things and ideas to help you to help yourselves. How to focus on the right task at the right time with the right team members. How to always have more ideas and how to select which ideas to pursue when. And what can be learned from Boyd, a fighter pilot, about how to learn fast and win. So we'll start with Boyd. John the Mad Major Boyd. I'm sure some of you at this point in time are looking him up. You'll discover he could outmaneuver everyone in 40 seconds. And this was because he developed a theory to win, a theory based on data. We call that theory the OODA loop. Observe, orient, decide, act. In a competitive environment, where that's fighter planes, business strategy, a hackathon event, going around this cycle quicker than your competitors will give you competitive advantage. Use the data. What does it tell you to do next? Get round the loop. Learn, orient, keep on going around the cycle. OODA, John Boyd. Our next guest this afternoon, Genrikh Osterler. Genrikh was a Russian genius. He's known as the father of TRIZ. He analysed patterns to understand and invent a process of invention. And for his dealings and his learnings, he was arrested, he was tortured, and he was imprisoned. But today it's a movement which is gathering pace. Part of his insight, 40 principles of invention. Different ways of seeing how to outthink and come up with new ideas and new approaches. Now, to some, that's been seen as too complex, and to many of you, it's too small to read at this stage. So it's become known as SIT, the Systemic Innovative Thinking Process, which has boiled it down to essentially 5 patterns and a number of principles. For this afternoon, I've made it even simpler. Thinking differently is difficult, and to do it, we can use familiar patterns as shortcuts to make it easier. Here are patterns. In Codeless, we need to be able to think differently and assess how the different ideas and impact, and for those of you that have seen the judging criteria, that impact is quite important to be considered. So 4 things, 4 factors that most of you will be familiar with. plus, minus, multiply, divide. Plus, what can we add? How can we add ideas together? Maybe try a random connection. You have an idea, think of a random term, think about more ideas that could come from that. Take two ideas that you have together, see what happens when you bring them together. Subtract. What can we remove? Take everything away but the essentials. See how you can reduce it down to just the core. And then how can you build excellence off that? Multiply. How can we scale? Imagine if this was 10 times or 100 times bigger or better. Is that possible? Can we see it? Can we achieve it? Divide. How can we break it down? What are the core components? What are the connections? How can we focus on each individual element and innovate that element differently? How can we focus on the connections and innovate the connections differently? So 4 simple tools, all part of SITMES, Simplified Innovative Thinking, made even simpler by Steve. And you can use them with the other models and all the techniques and all the approaches you've been shared today to generate more creative and more winning ideas. And finally, back to how to know who to do what and when. Eddie Obeng, a management guru, was asked in the 1990s by a famous oil company why some projects work really well and others fail spectacularly. His analysis suggested a connection between the profile of the leader of a project and the people involved in that project and the type of project it was. And this simple 2x2 shows you what is expected. Do we know yes or not? And how to do it. Do we know yes or not? So if we look at that top right-hand box, in this box, we call it painting by numbers. We know exactly how to do it, and we know exactly what we're going to get. Some of the techniques and methods you've been shown today are that painting by numbers box. They are tasks that need to be done with execution and skill, repeated over and over again. But there are some tasks that you need to do for this project where in the bottom right-hand box, you know how to do it. You know now how to plumb stuff together, how to connect things, hopefully, to intelligent plant. You understand the term data historian and what that means. But you don't know what you're going to get until you do it. So in that bottom right-hand box, it's a bit like making a movie. To make a great movie, we put great people, a great script, a great set, great effects. We put them all together and we'll make a great movie. But we don't know what it will look like until we've done it. And that's the process many of you are in now. In the top left-hand box, we know what is expected, but we don't know how to do it. I once had a boss who wanted 100 million on the top line in 5 years or less. He didn't know how we was going to achieve it. He didn't know how he was going to even think it was possible, but he knew he needed it. So in this box, it's a bit like going on a quest. You need to define what you want and then explore many different angles to try and see how you can actually achieve it. And I'm sure some of the conversations I've heard and overheard over today, you're starting to think like that. Where are the quests? Where are the holy grails around these challenges and the domains that you're in? And finally, into the box in the bottom left-hand corner, we don't know what is expected and we don't know how to do it. It's a bit like walking in a fog. We're not sure where we want to be, but we know we don't want to be here. Now, sometimes that can feel very uncomfortable, and you need leaders who can help to take you into one of the other spaces. Let's develop a process and let's follow a process. Let's set a target and a task and let's see if we can achieve it. Or let's do something routine that we understand and we know, and we'll see how that can work. As I said, this model works by matching your preferences and your team's preferences to the different type of tasks that you're doing. So there is a questionnaire. We'll share where the link is. For those of you who want to do it as individuals and then see what it looks like for teams, there's a number of questions, 20 or so questions, and it helps you to get insight into what type of change, what type of project you most prefer. And you've come up with some categories, a bit like many of these analysis. There's no right or wrong answers. It's all about what type of innovation you're most suited to. So as a quick review, I say we take 3 quick things: how to focus on the right task with the right team members, how to have more ideas, and how you can learn and go round the OODA loop faster and learn from Boyd. I hope I've managed to take some of you to start that journey of thinking or acting differently, going beyond your comfort zone. Remember to challenge core assumptions, challenge normal thinking to try and think and act differently. And I hope I've encouraged some of you to choose to move with freedom. As I said, as a brief reminder, you want to talk, tell the world about the great things you're doing over the next few days. And I'll see you tomorrow, where for those of you that are interested, Ik de Besoya, it's an Old Welsh word, and I'll explain it for those of you I talk to tomorrow. Over to Steve.
Thank you, Steve. So that was great. Thank you very much, Steve. I hope you all found that thought-provoking, but also useful when, as you sort of in your teams, you work on how you're going to work together, what ideas you want to go after, and make some key decisions for tomorrow. So again, thank you very much to Steve. I'd also like to thank all the mentors who've been taking part today and supporting the challenges, the deep dive challenges, into the challenges and the masterclasses. I hope you found that all very useful. And last, of course, mainly, I want to thank all you guys for taking part. I hope you enjoyed the day. Hopefully you're all set up for day 2. And just to remind you on the schedule, so tomorrow essentially is, working hard in your teams against the challenges. Please use all the tools made available to you to look for help. If you're getting really stuck, you don't know where you're going, please do reach out. Use the help desk functionality. Tag your mentors, who you should all know by now, and get unstuck fast. Just a reminder that we've got 3 bolt-on keynote presentations tomorrow. This is just so if you take a bit of time out and learn something different. I think it's quite useful always to just take a bit of a break. So as I said, we've got three presentations. Steve Aiken, who's the boss of Intelligent Plant, he will give you a nice talk about industry opportunities. I myself going to talk a bit in the early afternoon around some of the digital aspects that are going to be key to the energy transition. So join me for that if you're interested in that. And then lastly, we have Tom Siebel at the end, who's the chairman of C3AI. Really, that's all from me. I just want to remind you, actually, if you're in a team and there are people who haven't appeared, and so you're quite short, just let the organisers know, let Blair and the others know in the help desk or the general channel, and we may end up putting a few teams together. But just do that. But other than that, hope you enjoy tomorrow. Hope you've enjoyed today, and I look forward, and the rest of our team look forward to the outcomes. So thank you very much.